Hello and welcome back to Reading with Mo. It's a little bit weird to be sitting down today because I have not sat down and recorded any booktube content for months now. I don't even want to look back and see when was last month that I posted a video for you guys. I don't even know exactly when this video is going to go up, but I wanted to get this recorded today because I have a lot of books that I've purchased recently and they've just been sitting on the floor and I would like to get them up on my shelves. But first, I wanted to be able to show you guys what has recently come into my collection. I still have to show you guys like my updated bookshelf organization, but that will be for another day. Anyways, I'm glad hopefully by the time you guys are seeing this, it means I'm planning on being back and regular again. I'm definitely out of the habit of this, but hopefully it won't take too long to kind of get back in the groove of recording again. I have books I want to share with you that some of them I've purchased myself, some of them I've been sent. I went to Europe recently and I purchased a whole bunch of books there, mainly in London. So let's just get into them. I have so much I'm excited to share with you guys. First off, we'll start with the two books that I purchased for myself. And okay, this first one is super, I just have to show you guys because yeah, this is probably the most beautiful book of all of the books in this book haul I'm going to show you guys. I probably should save this for the end, but I'm too excited and I can't wait. So this is a book I never really thought I would read, and I didn't think I would be drawn to it, but I did have a coworker once recommend this to me, and I know it's very beloved online it has a very large fan base, and that is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. This book is so beautiful. Like, we need to take a moment of appreciation for this. I will link down below the shop I purchased this from. Look at the sprayed edges, and then on the inside it came with like some little prints and stuff. And then this under the dust jacket is really pretty pink. The website I purchased it from is bluelyboo.com. I don't know if that will load or not, but that's where I purchased it from. And I really am excited to get to this book. I know it's kind of it's like a fantasy romance maybe. I'm not even fully 100% sure, but I decided to give it a chance and see if I like it or not. I just have the first book in the series, and I think she's planning on publishing the same matching editions for the rest. So I need to read this one and see if I like it enough to want to continue on with the series. I honestly don't even want to know too much going into it. I just am going to go in with medium level of expectations and see how I get on with it. The other book that I purchased for myself, that was the only one I have not related to my trip, was Under Color of Law by Aaron Philip Clarke. In this book, we are following a black rookie cop. His name is Trevor Finn, and he wants to be a top-ranking officer in the LAPD. He's on the fast track for promotion to detective in the robbery homicide division. The body of a murdered Black Academy recruit is found in the Angeles National Forest, and it's the job of Finn to investigate. Now onto the books I purchased when I was in London. I have this nice stack of books here. Yeah, half of my suitcase when I came back home was books, and I am not mad about it at all because I knew I was going to do a lot of book shopping, mainly in London. In Nice, I didn't go to any bookstores. In Paris, I came across a few, but they're mainly all in French. So while I can read some French, definitely not fluent enough to enjoy reading a whole book in French. So I got all of these when I was in London. I got to hit up so many bookstops that I was just so excited for, and I wish I had vlogged and taken more pictures and videos to show you guys, but honestly I was just like living my best life. I was living in the moment and I was having so much fun. I got to go to Persephone Books in Bath. I went to a Foyles and a Waterstones in person for the first time, which was very exciting as well. So I'll show you guys the books I purchased. First, I'll show you the two I got from Bath. So I took the train there for the day, and of course I had to go to Persephone Books, and I just limited myself to just two. Like, I could have bought way more, but I wanted to be very selective in what I got because I had a whole trip to pay for. So I purchased one called The Sack of Bath, which was very fitting, by Adam Ferguson. This is a very short little novella. I believe it's a nonfiction book, and it's following just the history of the city of Bath itself. There's photos and stuff in here, so I'm really looking forward to reading this and being able to revisit those memories of visiting that city. And then we have The Making of a Marchioness by Frances Hodgson Burnett. If you recognize the author, she also wrote The Secret Garden. What made me interested in picking this one, because it was really, really hard to choose just one other book to buy there. I could have bought the whole store, but I like this little blurb on the front. And this is by a professor, and it's taken from the afterword. It says, Emily is not on the prowl for a husband. Her fears are of an old age in which she will be unable to work. Her appreciation of her unexpected good luck in marriage and her growing affection for Lord Walderhurst lie in no small part in the fact that she has been rescued from what Frances Hodgson Burnett repeatedly referred to in her earliest stories as a shabby, genteel life. So I'm excited to eventually get to this one. At this moment, I'm not going to remember which books I purchased from which specific bookstores. So I picked up a nonfiction book, The Georgians by Penelope J. Corfield. I actually started reading this book on the trip. I didn't get too far. I'm about 100 pages in, but it's very interesting. I did a lot of like touring around stuff related to the Georgian period, so I felt like it was fitting to read a book where it was talking about the history of that time. Continuing on, I guess, with more like nonfiction books around England, I picked up Black England by Gretchen Gerzina, A Forgotten Georgian History. And this one is the story of Georgian England's large and distinctive Black community. So I'm excited to get to this one. The cover on this one I thought was really good too. And then at the National Portrait Gallery, I picked up this book, Jane Austen and Her World by Josephine Ross. This is a nonfiction book all about, as the title would suggest, about Jane Austen, and there's also photos in it as well. I've never seen these little editions. They had them on a couple of different artists there, and I decided to pick up the Jane Austen one since I have read all of her full-length novels. I have read, I think, some nonfiction about her before, but it's been a while. Lastly, for the nonfiction in this section, I have The Strangest Family by Janice Hadlow, and this is the private lives of George III, Queen Charlotte, and the Hanoverians. So I, like many as well, has recently watched the Queen Charlotte Netflix show, and I wanted to know a bit more about the true story behind Queen Charlotte. So I'm excited to pick this book up. There's also another nonfiction book about her that I wanted to pick up too, but they didn't have it in stock, so I just picked up this one. It's kind of a chunky one, so I don't know exactly how soon I'm going to get to this one, but it's following the lives of Queen Charlotte and George III. And lastly, we have a couple of like historical fiction books. One of them is, I think this one's a fantasy, and that it's a pretty new release. This one is called Herc by Phoenicia Rogerson. This one I remember I did purchase, I think, at this was from Waterstones. The sticker will remind me there, and it has the nice blue sprayed edges. I believe this book is a retelling of the story of Hercules. And then lastly, for the books I purchased while I was on my trip, I picked up this beautiful edition of Circe by Madeline Miller. I feel like everybody has read this book but me and loves this book. I haven't read anything by Madeline Miller before, but I definitely have recently been into reading a lot of stuff that's inspired by, like, you know, ancient Greek and Roman mythology, and so I will go ahead and give this one a try. These are my favorite types of books. The naked hardcover books are so just top tier for me, and there's a book ribbon at the bottom. So I'm excited to read this and see if it lives up to the hype or not, because even when I was purchasing this book at the store, the guy who was checking me out was like, yeah, that is a really good book. You need to pick up that one. You need to pick up Song of Achilles. So I'm going to just pick this one up first and see how I get on with it. Now onto this last stack of books here. These are books that were sent to me over the past few months from different various publishers. So first we have The Museum of Human History by Rebecca Bergman. This book came out in August, and I have not read it. A lot of these books I have not read. I will get into what I've been up to lately in some other video. This is just a book haul video. So I remember I accepted this book for review at the time because I thought it sounded interesting. This is a fiction book, and after nearly drowning, 8-year-old Maeve falls into a strange comatose state. As the years pass, it becomes clear that she's not physically aging. And we're following a wide cast of characters who find themselves pulled toward Maeve, each believing that her mysterious sleep holds the answers to their life's most pressing questions. So that sounds very interesting. And we have Liquid Snakes by Stefan Kierce. This one was sent to me by Soft School Press. What if toxic pollutants traveled up the socioeconomic ladder rather than down it? A Black biochemist searches for an answer in this wildly original novel of pollution, poison, and dark pleasure. Then we have one that I actually did read, and that is Happiness Falls by Angie Kim. I was so beyond excited to get an early release of this book. This author also released Miracle Creek. This book came out September 5th. I actually read this book a couple weeks before it came out because I was so excited to get to it. I think I actually started reading this when I was in New Orleans, I believe, like on the flight there, and I almost finished the whole thing. It was really good. I enjoyed it. I think I gave it like around a 4-star rating. I can't really remember now, but I remember I just really enjoyed it. How it's described is when a father goes missing, his family's desperate search leads them to question everything they know about him and one another. A riveting page turner and a deeply moving portrait of a family in crisis. So I like that had that family drama angle. It had the mystery angle. All of that really kept me interested in it. And so, yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I'm not going to give you my full review now. At some point, I will be recording a wrap up of everything I've read over the past few months, and I'll let you guys know a little bit more about my full thoughts on this book then. And then a few months ago, I did a collab with, believe it was bookshop.org, and I was able to, in exchange for like creating a video, helping them, I was able to get some books off of their website. I decided to just lean heavily into the Greek Roman feelings I was at the time, that vibe. So I picked up a copy of Clytemnestra, which I actually have already read, and I really enjoyed this one, and I wanted to own a physical copy on my shelves because I definitely want to reread it again in the future. This is a retelling about Clytemnestra, it's set in the world of ancient Greece, and it's kind of fleshing out more the story of her like backstory and stuff. I wasn't really familiar with her before I read this, so I'm not really sure what I should and shouldn't say. I was like, what, spoilers or anything? Okay, and then we have The Odyssey by Homer. This is translated by Emily Wilson, and I believe her translation of the Iliad just came out, and I'm really excited to get my hands on that one. I don't own it yet, but I'm looking forward to eventually reading both. I am not sure when I will read this, but I know I definitely have plans to eventually. This one's told in poetry form. I was watching, I can't even remember whose video now on YouTube, who was recommending like kind of like where to start and like different books to start when it comes to like Greek and Roman books. It might have been Jean from Jean's Bookish Thoughts, and she had recommended specifically, I believe, this translation for helping you to understand the Odyssey because it's like written in a form that is easy to consume with like how we speak now. So I'm really looking forward to giving this a shot. And then I picked up these two books, Heroes and Mythos by Stephen Fry. I read Troy recently by Stephen Fry, which is part of the trilogy, and I really enjoyed it. And so these are the Greek myths reimagined. And so in Mythos, it's going over the retelling of the Greek myths. And I think, yeah, there are some pictures in here as well. So I believe this is kind of like nonfiction and fiction mixed together a little bit, you know, I'm not really too sure. And then we have this one, which is Heroes. And in this one, it's going over the story of like the Olympian gods and like Perseus, Jason, Atalanta, Heracles, all of these, and it's illustrated with art that's inspired by the myths as well. But yes, I'm excited to get to these eventually, and I do really want to reread Troy as well because I feel like there was a lot of information in there and it was presented in a very like easy to consume way. I just have the worst memory ever, so I definitely want to reread it. And from Catapult Books, I received a couple books from them. The first we have is the Best Debut Short Stories of 2023, the PEN America Dow Prize. This one is a short story celebration of the most promising short story writers. There's a panel who's chosen 12 stories. The anthology encompasses fraught family gatherings, death, inheritance, reproduction and birth, translation, secrets, and betrayals. Then also from Catapult, I received Straw Dogs of the Universe. Now this book is a generational family saga, which is something I always am very interested in reading. I just love reading about different family dynamics like that. And so we're following 10-year-old Sejang, and her village is devastated by famine, and she's sold to a human trafficker. Her mom is hoping that she will have a better life in America. She arrives in America with the profits from her sale and the photograph of her father. She journeys across an unfamiliar landscape in the hopes of reuniting her family. And meanwhile, her father, who's a railroad worker in California, finds his attempts to build a life there both upended and defined by a long-lost love and the seemingly inescapable violence of the American West. So the next few books are all from the same publisher, Melville House Publishing. So the first one we have is Octavia E. Butler, The Last Interview and Other Conversations, with an introduction by Samuel R. Delaney. And then we have Bell Hooks, The Last Interview and Other Conversation, with an introduction by Mickey Kendall. I'm not sure if there's other books in these series, but they are really cool, so I'm excited to check those out. And then we have The Village Idiot by Steve Stern. This book is depicting the life of real-life painter Chaim Soutine, his unlikely friendship with the ill-fated Modigliani, who drags him from brothels to midnight felonies to a pistol duel at dawn, acquaintances and run-ins with Picasso, Renoir, Cocteau, romances with remarkable women who loved him despite his shabby countenance, and also on the horizon, the coming storm of Nazi occupation. So I think this is a fictionalized retelling or fictionalized story of this guy's life. I didn't realize that was actually the last book that I was going to share with you guys. So I hope you enjoyed seeing all these books that are just being added into my collection. Like I said, so far I've read 2.5 of them, so I'm really excited to get them up on my shelves and get them read. I have been really good about not buying books a lot recently, and I feel like that's really good. In the past few months I've only bought 2, besides the ones I got when I was in Europe, which I already knew that didn't count because that was gonna happen regardless. Let me know if you guys have read any of these books and which ones I should prioritize. That's it for today. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will hopefully see you guys very soon. Bye!